It's like hitting your
Okay.
balls. It sends like shockwaves through your body.
Let's see if streaming to YouTube works.
Are you gonna capture and stream? Or what are we gonna do? I don't know what we're doing here.
I'm just streaming the chat room. Stream options. How do you disable the chat on YouTube? Ah, there we go. I think we might be live. Yeah, we are live. And then everybody just goes silent.
No, I'm still here. I'm using my wireless headphones, but not my wireless mic. So if I step away, it take me a minute for come back.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah.
So I will definitely have to say that my bitterness right now is on a high part when it comes to AMD at the moment.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that fine wine going stale?
That fine wine going stale? No. The graphics card is fine. And for certain games under Gen 2, if I disable the Steam helper, as I call it, it works fine, and those games play great, like 100 frames a second under the open source GPU. If I run the pro version of the GPU, I'm just having issues, and I hear dropping cans and
No, my bad.
But yeah, so I'm a little salty at the moment because the Pro driver is janky for certain things, which it wasn't for 16.03, but I was having support issues for the 390X, but the 290X worked fine. It was kind of weird.
So is that our topic though? I'm unclear. Is AMD our topic or what?
As you can tell, we did not plan this.
Well,
yeah.
the whole point on this is that it's not about it being a direct topic. Like, we're not just going into the topic, but my idea is to discuss, the rise of adjustments, I should say, that are happening.
Yeah.
Mostly because there are actual people like there's a guy on Twitter. It's like he basically stated that Vulkan is not our savior.
No, it's not.
For
I
all
don't think so.
Windows games to be ported under Linux, except for
I don't believe it is.
Well, Microsoft's doing crazy shit with their. They're now doing adjustments now to where they're improving their games that are built for the platform, like engineered.
Yeah, they're gonna have a special DLL or library file that's going to run with their with the 32-bit and 64-bit and the UWP games that it's gonna supposedly quote unquote optimize the games. It's coming out in the next update.
Yeah.
So two things. Off topic. Not my family, but my high school reunion's coming up. I gotta request it to a group on Facebook, and I'm just scrolling through these people and realize that the first high school I went to is fucking lily white as hell. Oh my god. Yeah, I just had to say that. But the other topic, about the Vulkan in the DirectX. Oh yeah, so Microsoft has been doubling down on, according to them, being serious about games this generation. They introduced the cross-platform play, the cross-buying or cross-purchasing play. Now this new update with the optimization stuff. they went back and fixed the complaints about UWP and the various things about game capturing and all that good stuff and SLI. They seem to be serious about it. Like I said, and that's why I really don't think Vulkan is not going to be the savior for Linux, because as long as Windows remains to be the dominant in the 90th percentile platform, yeah, that's a strong uphill battle to have.
But see, the thing is, Linux doesn't need a savior.
I don't think it needs a savior.
We're not looking like that's the problem. That's the issue that I deal with. Is that when people say stuff like that, it's like, no, Linux doesn't need a savior. We didn't need a savior when we took over the server. We didn't need a savior when we took over.
But here, hold on. But the argument has never been the year of the server or the year of the cloud. It's always been the year of the desktop. Like nobody ever argued that asterisk Nix is dominant in scalability, reliability, and doing workloads. That's its cornerstone. Nobody's going to argue that Windows Server is better than Unix, Linux, Solaris, BSD box. Nobody. Yeah.
You got auto gain control on?
Oh my God. No, but I'll check. Like literally nothing has changed. So I don't know why you're having this issue, or I'm having this issue, or somebody's having this issue.
It's you.
You shut your fucking mouth.
He sounds fine for me.
And System's quiet.
Why don't you check your Discord?
I think it's you, Atomic.
Yeah, check your Discord.
No.
Just check your fucking Discord and make sure that
because you were saying I was quiet last night as well, and I janked with a bunch of stuff, and then they told me I was too loud. So
this sounds fine to me.
I'm on a different system than I was last night. Like I was on an iPad last night, and now I'm on the desktop.
All right, look, I'm gonna turn it down to 50. All right, anything changed?
Now you're too quiet for me.
Yeah, you're about at System's level now.
Oh, you're retarded. It's you, Atomic. It has to be. Because System's fine to me.
God,
what the fuck? Oh, yeah, that's too loud. Yeah, that's way too loud. My bad.
Yeah, I was going to say.
My bad.
Okay, now you turn yourself way too down.
All right, how about now? How about now?
More.
We good?
No,
up.
A little bit more.
Up.
A little bit
or
more.
Down?
Up.
What's a little bit more? Up or down? Okay.
I would have said a little less if we wanted you to turn it down.
Well, you're right.
Just turn it up a little more. Just a little more.
All right, there we go. A little bit more. Here we go.
Oh, this is hilarious.
You're hilarious. There we go. How about that?
Perfect.
Yeah, keep it there.
All right.
Now, if you have problems and shit, I got to take the pizza out and be right back. Twerk that ass. Yeah, so I went to a lily white ass high school, 9th and 10th grade, into a fucking hood ass ghetto high school in 10th, 11th and 12th grade. I'm confused. It's probably why I'm so confused now. I will definitely not be going to this high school reunion. I don't even see anybody I like or know here. If he was in my high school, I definitely wouldn't go. I'm just saying.
Well, you know me, I wouldn't be in high school.
What the fuck do you mean? You didn't go to high school?
I have never set foot in a school ever in my life.
That's what the fuck is wrong with you. I knew there was something wrong with you. How do you not go to a... You was homeschooled?
Yeah.
Oh, now I know. Why didn't you just say...
Now do you understand why I don't have this subtle, below the surface love for government?
Man.
Like everybody else.
It's got nothing to do with love for government. To me, honestly, 100% honest, like at least in my application in the way I think about my own children and what I think about myself, going to high school is the breeding ground for for learning social skills.
Yeah, that was a pretty good save there.
Whatever. Shut the fuck up.
It's
Not
a breeding
socialism.
ground for socialism. Yeah, I agree with that.
Shut the fuck up.
Well,
No, you can't deny it.
No, pause.
Pals.
I went to public school and private school, and I understand the concepts and issues with privatized education, public education, and independent education, which is what you would classify homeschooling as, right? So the ideologues that believe that private into private education is a breeding ground for extremism,
I
for
don't believe
either
that.
cultural for culture, like if you've ever dealt with people that went to military schools or went to Catholic schools or anything, there is a belief that they indoctrinate idea, and I would say it.
I'm sorry. I have to cut you off. Atomic, why the fuck did you tweet accounted? Pedro wants you to come, says he's wrong about everything.
Because
Hey, you're such a fucking troll.
come on now, I got to play along to the relationship that Sistrom and Pedro have, which is very antagonistic.
You should let System know that he's live, by the way,
Yeah, we
What
are.
do you mean that I'm live?
on the interwebs.
Okay, so we're having a discussion that I actually thought was a private discussion, and it's a public discussion.
Well, when you left, we became live, and I'm letting you know now.
Oh, okay. Anyway, fine. They'll put it this way: people that are homeschooled have personal opinions and preferences that are provided by their parents. People that are private schooled have personal opinions, and you can shut the fuck up. People who are educated in private school systems have opinions and discussions and belief systems that are provided to them by a private entity, be it a social entity or a militaristic entity, depending on the type of private school they went to. And people who went to public school are educated in a what I would call a humanistic belief system, or as you would predicate to believe, a socialist system, which I can't completely disagree, but at the same time,
here's the problem. Here's the problem.
depends on the school
There's a
district.
there's a very huge part missing outside of public school. I don't think that I believe in private school because private schools dedicates more time and effort and resources towards the individual. But there has to be social growth. Kids need social growth.
Well,
Period.
okay, but homeschools, they do have that opportunity depending on the type of homeschool environment. There are these co-ops, as I'll call them, that homeschoolers can go to and get extended educational pieces to that they wouldn't be able to get inside a normal homeschool environment.
That's fair.
So there are things there that they can do, and there's also different kind of like.
Or you can put them in sports and do other things.
Well,
I'm just saying.
but there's those extended group settings have the ability to do that. So there is a difference, and you can't make a total judgment. I
No,
would definitely say, in my personal experience, what I've dealt with and situations I've dealt with, I will say that homeschoolers are a little bit more sheltered in some
yes,
aspects,
that
but in other
mostly.
aspects, they're not.
Be honest. Most aspects, I think
Yeah,
they are.
but I will say most of them are better educated than
They,
their public
and that might
school
be true.
counterparts.
And I agree with you. There's no perfect
So-
solution.
So when you have this counterbalance discussion, you have to take the consideration that public school is the lowest common denominator. Private school is the middle common denominator. So they basically want all students to excel equally. Whereas public school, they just want the lowest common denominator students to graduate. That's basically their point. And then in homeschool, it's individual progress, which means that every individual student is educated in a way that is to their specific need or option if they're being educated adequately. So that's the difference that you look at. Where I prefer, my specific preference would be a hybrid between the public education system and the private education system in being charter schools. But they need to regulate the charter schools. Whereas the whole intent of a charter school should be to both create an environment for the students that is independent, individualized education, and at the same time also working to make sure that the lowest educated student also has the same form of education as the highest educated student. And the problem that a public school system does is it's not designed to do that. Public school system is basically designed to create worker bees. That's what they're designed to do. And a
You're right.
private education system is whoever can pay the most amount of money gets the best education in a private environment. And the same thing goes with a homeschool environment. The education is dictated by the parental people that are in charge of making the decision on what the education the child receives. And there is such a wide gap on the education provided in the homeschool that depending on how the student is educated will also dictate on how the student perceives the
Well,
world. So
well,
your distinction in saying that because Atomic has his thought process, that
he's a
means
fucking retard. I still like him, but he's still a retard.
No, I have to disagree. Just because he's not educated in the same form or fashion that you and I went to education. But here's the deal.
Nah, it's not about education. He's
no,
just a
but
retard.
I went to public school. And I will definitely say that my education and my understanding of how the world's dynamic is different than someone who didn't go to public school. But I also have a private school education as well. So I didn't just go to public school. I also went to private school. So I have both the foundations of.
Let me pause you for 1 second. What is the IRC for our thing again? I forgot. Linux Tech and Gaming?
Yeah, it's on Freenode.
I didn't even realize we had an IRC.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't used it in a while.
Yeah, well, whatever. So anyway, prescribing this point.
I wasn't generalizing.
Like
I definitely wasn't. But Atomic's a retard. He went to private school. No, he went to homeschool. So therefore, under American logic, current day logic, he something must be wrong with homeschooling because he's a retard.
But he's
not. Wait, is retard offensive? Can we say that? He's mentally challenged.
I don't consider him to be that way. I'm sorry. I have a dissent. I may disagree with him on a regular basis, but that doesn't, just because his opinion is different than mine doesn't mean that he's special in any form or fashion, whether it be special in uniqueness or special in education.
Well, we can agree he's special then.
Okay, fine. I'll agree that he's special, but I'm not going to say that his education is the reason that he's special.
Okay. We'll agree on that then.
Anyway, aside from that, now that we have had this long diatribe about education in America and how screwed up it is, can we actually get to the point of what we were actually planning on discussing?
Yes.
Well, why would we want to do that?
I don't know why we want to do that. I thought that was the entire point of this, was to actually discuss our grievances or not so grievances with the current state of gaming and things that pertain to Linux. I would assume would be our point, right?
Yes.
No, that's too logical. That makes too much sense.
Well, logic
I can come up. Yeah, look, I can come up with some topics if you guys want to get it started. While
right now I'm like super pissed at a few things in relation to what I'm dealing with the AMD drivers. So if I want to do some things, like Kden Live works great on both the opens, which that's a whole other can of worms. Yeah, and you had no, we're gonna get started on that because of the issues that you're dealing with, and you're not even running AMD hardware at all. You're running Intel and NVIDIA hardware, but you're also running an old ass graphics card. But that's beside the point. The point that I'm getting to is the fact that, okay, so I did some modifications and basically, since I'm running Gen 2, I basically build everything. So I can modify things and make adjustments where I need to make things function correctly. And of course, I basically have to destroy Steam just to get it to work. But again, that's only because of the runtime environment that they bundle with Steam when you're running it under Ubuntu or Ubuntu or Kubuntu or whatever version of Mint or whatever other bastardized distro that's based off of that sweet Debian is using. We go back to the point of this is that with me, I have to modify things and make things work and adjust things to work. And other people would say, well, why don't you just run Arch? Well, see, I run into the same problem with Arch, except for I don't have full control over the modifications if I pull something out of the AUR unless I go in and customize it, which if I'm going to have to do that, I might as well just build it myself. And so with that thought process, so I got really fed up because I was having some issues. And of course, I'm running AMD graphics. And so that's the whole point. You're cutting yourself anyway when you do that. But I was having no issues running the open source variant of the driver, with certain exceptions where things like certain games under Steam they would run, but then the whole entire system would lock up. But my applications that I could not get to work under Ubuntu worked great. So I could stream things under OBS. I could function when it came to doing simple screen recorder and different pieces like that. So things were working totally fine under basically the exact same thing, basically the same kernel all the way down the board between a Ubuntu box, which was 1604 with the 4.4 kernel and plus or minus whatever their random modifications are to that kernel. And then my Gentoo, which was running, I had built a 4.4 kernel with modifications and a 4.8 kernel with modifications, which the 4.8 kernel is retarded. Same reason that 1610 has issues when you can't even install the AMD Pro drivers under 1610 because of the 4.8 kernel. It's broken. You have to do modifications. There's a bunch of other issues. All right. Aside from that, I've been going through the process of, okay, so this is what I'm running under Gentoo. This is what I'm running under Ubuntu. These are the issues I'm having here. This is the issues I'm having there. And so in Arch, so I just got frustrated. And so I spun up Antergos because I'm lazy and I didn't feel like building Arch from scratch. And I just wanted to test something. So I spun up Antergos, threw it on there. And if somebody wants to correct me on how I'm pronouncing it, I don't give a fuck. The
Intergos.
point, whatever, as I said, I don't give a fuck. It goes back to the point of this, is that so I spun it up, pulled everything out of the AUR, installed Steam, ran my games, and the same lockup's happening. But this is with the rolling current updated, fully updated system, Arch, as of yesterday. Well, technically last night at 5 a.m. Same exact issues, able to replicate everything. And so I believe the issue is related directly to the kernel itself and not the AMD drivers themselves. So that's where I'm at an upset. Whereas we go back to the other set where Bodhi is running Linux Lite, which is a modification of Ubuntu, which is an LTS off the 1604, and he's running the 4.4 kernel, and he's not having any of the problems, and he's also running a 290 AMD graphics card, but he's running an Intel processor. So my final conclusion this morning is I was like, well, it was about 9 this morning. My conclusion was, fine, I'll throw the 390X in an Intel box, which is a 6700. I'll throw the same distribution, which is Linux Lite, on it. I'll install everything and get everything ready to go. So I install all my applications, install OBS, install the pieces that I want, boot up a game. 20 minutes later, the system locks up. So I am not exactly sure what's causing the issue now, because Bodhi's not having any problems, or at least he's telling me he's not having any problems.
I don't believe it.
And I threw the 390X in an Intel-based system with exactly the same operating system as he has, with the applications that I asked him to test, and after 20 minutes, it locks up. So I'm at the situation where I'm just rather confused, and I am running 16.50 on the AMD GPU Pro is what I installed. Now, the other thing is he is running the 290, not an X series. So it could be because he's running the Pro GPU, not the XT GPU. There could be a difference between the two. Because basically a 390X is a 290X, and so I have both. And so I just, instead of taking the time to take the 290X out, I just threw the 390X in there. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that is my rant for the night, in relation to what I'm dealing with and what I'm concerned about. But what games I am playing, I definitely have to say that the drivers today on the open source side, other than the issues I deal with, which I am assuming with kernel modifications and different pieces like that, I could probably track it down and figure out what exactly is causing the problem. But overall, on average, with the open source drivers, just pulling them out of the Ubuntu repository or Ubuntu or whatever, just pulling straight drivers, other than certain glitches I deal with that are not like never ending, games like Ballistic Overkill do plus 200 frames per second. I can run under the AMD GPU Pro under 1604. I can run Vulkan, and the game, does amazing for Dota, and Talos works perfect. So Vulkan is running great. Other issues, resolved pretty easy. Other YouTubers have gone through and under NVIDIA graphics cards have shown that they can run, Doom in Wine using Vulkan, and it works great. So the thing for me is that we're progressing forward. AMD is working really hard to make the drivers better, because I will definitely say today my problems, other than the issues I'm dealing with, which are probably just things I'm fiddling with.
I mean, so if a new if a newcomer or a new person was building a PC and it was like, I want to build this PC for gaming on Linux or Linux gaming or whatever, can you recommend a 285, a 290, a 390, or what?
Well, I can't recommend any AMD graphics cards at all for playing video games. I can't recommend that. If you already have it, well, there are workarounds that you can do. So here's the thing. If you already have a system that you're using Windows 10 on, and something happens in Windows 10 borks itself, and you're transitioning to Linux from a machine that's already built, and you're not building one now, then I'm going to say that your options are, there are a few distributions that are better than others. If you're new to Linux, then try to stay to the Ubuntu distributions. I would say that your best options right now, if you just want it to work, there are a couple of distributions. That's Linux Lite is okay, it does the job. It uses XFCE as its Windows manager and basically its entire environment. And then if you don't like that, then you can go Mate or Mat or whatever people want to call it. Mate, whatever. You can do that. It'll work. You can get things installed. It'll play. Then if you want to go Mint, you can do Mint. If you're a little bit more experienced and you want to go the other route, you can go Intergros. Don't ever go Gen 2 unless you exactly know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's my recommendation on that. But basically, yeah. I mean, if you're at least wanting to try it, you already have a system in place that has an AMD graphics card, that's there. But if you're building a system, you just want lightweight gaming, or you just want to play games and you want them to work under Linux, then my recommendation would basically be running an i5 on the Intel side with some kind of NVIDIA graphics card, whether it be a 9 series or a 10 series. You're to be honest with you, you would get better performance out of a 960 than a 1050 Ti. But that's only because, well, they're the graphics drivers. The graphics drivers for the 960 are more refined than they are with the 1050 Ti, even though 1050 Ti is cheaper per se, I would say. But overall, you'd still get better performance out of the 960. If you do have the money, then a 1070 would be a good option for graphics. From what I've tested and what I've seen, 1060 is okay, but then the 1070 is a better option for price, basically, under Linux. So,
well, since we're talking about AMD, and I know you have strong emotions about the Ryzen
yes,
CPU.
I have very strong emotions. Those emotions pertain to the fact that I want it, I need it. It's like my crack. But anyway,
I mean, let's speculate.
At this point in time, I don't have any direct discussions that I can have until
let's
it's actually
speculate, though.
out there. But I don't want to do any speculation.
I want to speculate.
Well, you know,
I just saw a rumor that said they won't have a 6-core, but they will have a 4-core and an 8-core, and we already know that it's going to emulate or kind of model after the Intel's hyper-threading. So 4-core will probably mean 4 cores, 8 threads, and the 8-core will probably mean 8 cores, 16 threads. Do you feel like it's going to hold up to at least last gen's Intel, or maybe this? Well, I wouldn't say this gen's, because I feel like it's been stalled. That it's probably going to be a last gen equivalent. And if so, do you think
No, see, the deal is that I look at it this way. I don't care. My biggest deal is the price going to be efficient for the performance that you're getting out of it? And the deal is it going to be stable? That's what I care about. My whole point is it going to be stable? Can I buy any motherboard from any manufacturer and not have to go through the fact that this motherboard may or may not work right? This motherboard may or may not be correct, and I'm going to have random issues. That's my biggest thing. That's my biggest concern, because to be honest with you, if you're comparing that to the current Intel things, I can't really say that's a thing, because I have heard rants and raves from many people that basically say, well, I bought this motherboard, it was expensive, it doesn't work right, my chip isn't working right, my CPU is locking up, random stuff is happening. Well, I reseated everything and now it works. And it's
I'm one of those people.
Well, and not only that, I've also dealt with this situation and experience. So, and literally, I went and I happened to, because I had another project I was working on, just happened to have a situation where I got another motherboard for another project that happened to be a newer generation motherboard. So maybe with the 270, they might have resolved the issue versus the 170 boards, but the 170 boards are, yeah. Anyway,
I think
that's my biggest concern. My biggest concern is that if AMD can produce a product that is stable and priced accordingly to their performance that they're able to gain with it, then that's all that matters. If they can just do that, if they can do what they did with the AMD 64, where they created a product that was unique and was able to capture something that Intel wasn't able to capture at a price point that was worth it to the consumer, then they're able to do that. If not, then AMD is basically in the same boat they've been in for the last 10 years, and it's never going to change. And that's the biggest issue for me. And yes, I'm being completely honest, 10 years. I'm not saying 7 years, because yes, they released chips, but pile driver for certain circumstances is great. Other circumstances,
very. I would have to footnote with that with a minute amount of circumstances, but yeah.
No, certain circumstances with certain things that you're trying to do, pile driver is good. If you're trying to run multiple virtual machines and you don't want lockups, then it is better than having hyperthreading. Okay. I will say that if you're in an environment where you need more cores, whether they're true cores or not, you need more cores to be able to handle. Now, nowadays, totally completely different, because now you can buy Intels that have 6 cores in them. You can buy Intels with 8 cores in them. You can buy Intels with 10 cores in them.
Highly expensive.
They're highly expensive, but then you can also get cheaper Xeons now. Like, you can pick up Xeons now that are on par.
Low IPCs, but there's always a trade-off.
No, but I'm talking about as somebody that's using that to compete with the AMD offerings. I'm being
yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. See, people on Linux don't just play games. That's the thing. People on Windows only play games. That's the whole point of Windows. It's a video game platform.
So you're telling me Linux is not a gaming operating system only? That's crazy.
No, it's not a gaming operating system only. You build games on Linux. You don't play
Oh,
games.
snap.
That's what people tell me, and I'm like, no,
shots fired.
Yeah, shots fired. No, you play video games on Linux because Linux is awesome. Everybody should be playing video games on Linux because it's the best operating system. But to be honest with you, like when I talk to people and they run Windows and they play games, that's the reason they run Windows, is because they want to play games. That's what it's for. They don't use Windows to do development. Do you know what they use to do development? Mac.
Apple.
They use
Macs. I got one right.
Yes, they use Macs for development, or they use Linux for development. Developers don't use Windows to develop unless they're developing for Windows. That's it. Like if you're a developer and you do web software, or you're a developer and you're running Windows, you have to do all this extra stuff to get things to work. Whereas with Mac, it's like, I've got a terminal built in. Like Linux, I've got a terminal built in. I can do everything I need to develop for the full stack already ready to go. So again, I'm taking the full thing here. I understand that gaming is our focus, and I understand that's what we're going to talk about. But a lot of the majority of the people that I deal with who play games under Linux because they also do their job under Linux, and they want to be able to play games under Linux because they do their jobs under Linux.
Hey, so Atomic, the ass. Don't you have an AMD processor CPU?
Yeah, but it's a laptop. Doesn't count.
Yeah.
Before I had the laptop, my first gaming rig that I ever built back in 2013 had an AMD A8 6600K.
Wait. Time out. You said your first gaming rig was in 2013?
Yeah.
Lord Gaben, may bless us all, frowns upon that. 2013.
But he was but here's the thing, he was a PS2 console peasant before that. So we have to give him the benefit of the doubt.
I have not had the money to build a computer since 2005. So
you had a computer in 2005 though.
I built one in 2003 or 2004, but it was not a gaming machine.
I mean, fair enough. I mean, back then we didn't really, specify gaming and whatever. A computer was a computer then.
And
okay.
My experience playing games on Windows 98 kind of soured me to the idea of a PC gaming. That's what sent me over to the consoles in the early part of the century.
Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest, consoles were miles ahead of PCs at that point.
Yeah.
No, they weren't.
Yeah, they were. Stop it.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't.
Stop it.
No, they weren't. I'm sorry.
Wait. Hold on. Atomic, what did you say? 98 or 90? What?
So we got our first modern computer in 1999 with Windows 98 on it.
Okay.
And I would say 2002 is when I just gave up on it and went and got a PS2.
Mm-hmm. Right. So until about the mid to late 90s is when consoles were hands down, in my opinion, depending on the games that you played, of course, because there was certain genres of games that are on PC that are just that just weren't on console at all. Consoles were just better at that time period. Let's just be honest. If we're gonna have a honest discussion, you have to honest facts. Consoles were better. PlayStation was better than anything that PC had at the time.
No.
I like how you just said nah.
I can't, man. I can't agree with that. And it even come from a person that didn't run Windows at that time. I have to be honest with you. No,
besides your Duke Nukems and Dooms and Unreal Tournament.
No. See, the deal is that you had StarCraft. I'm sorry.
I never cared about StarCraft.
You can't play that on console. And you had Warcraft, and then
never cared about that.
You played World of Warcraft. I know you did. And if you didn't, if we didn't have games like Warcraft and StarCraft and things of that, we wouldn't have the Blizzard that we have today. To be honest with you, for those games that were and then we had Westwood Studios that produced games like Command and Conquer and Red Alert and all of these games that were RTSs that you couldn't play on console. I'm sorry, you can't do that.
Okay. So can we agree it's a matter of perspective then? Because I have never gotten into a StarCraft. I've never cared about
but
StarCraft.
If you wanted to play a JRPG or whatever, or an anime, basically what I call an anime with a
I like Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger and stuff like that.
Then on a console, that's fine because you have your limitations, you have your storage, you have your pieces and whatever. But to be honest with you, when it comes to that kind of things, and we do the comparison set, nowadays, now we can have the computational power of a console that could compete technically with a desktop machine. The Xbox was a computer. It had a hard drive, a CPU, a GPU. It was a computer.
Xbox was the initiation of the console market merging into the PC market. I agree with that.
So in essence, well, no, and even the PS2, it had the ability to have a hard drive. It had the ability to do things that were it even had the ability to get on the internet.
The hardware is there, but the instruction set changed with the Xbox.
Well, and the way that the PlayStation handled rendering and a few other things were a little janky. But to be honest with you, when it came to the PC market and comparative to what games you could play, there were games I could play on console or on that you could have at the arcade and all kinds of stuff like that you could play on PC that were completely different than anything you could do on the console itself. And to be honest with you, the arcades were like 50 times better than any.
They need to bring arcades back.
Well, the thing is, they don't need to bring arcades back because now we have consoles. No, they don't, because it's changed. The market is different.
Well, consoles represented something that you couldn't buy at home, right?
No, you mean arcades represent.
That's what I said. Arcades.
But nowadays, you can. Anything you could do in the arcade now is basically what you can do at home.
It's just how much money you have.
No, it's not even how much money you have. Like
virtual. Virtual reality. Most of us can't afford that. That is something that an arcade would be suitable for.
No, you can't afford that. So that's the thing.
I can't afford it.
I personally wouldn't want virtual reality in my house, but that's a thing and it's happening. No, dude, you can do 3D realm modification, virtual reality, but basically what you could do in the arcades back in the day, you can do that on your phone with a little headset.
Back in the day. No, I'm saying relative to now.
Relative to now, what you could do in an arcade. I don't even think they even do 3D in an arcade thing anymore. I don't know if you can go to Dave and Buster's or something like that.
Yes,
or Chuck E. Cheese.
Like major cities usually have a Dave and Buster's. What I'm saying is okay. I know I'm kind of swerving off topic here, but what I'm saying is,
wait. Let me put this into that. You're not swerving into oncoming traffic. You are taking a small exit off to another conversation with the intent that we will get back onto the highway. That is, consoles are stupid. Anyway.
Yeah, right. So the kind of the draw for arcades is that is something that was exponentially better than you could afford at the home. And and at the point that you could start affording those things at the home, and it was almost in parallel, arcades started to fade. Now, and I don't know the business model now, but if you could throw stuff in arcades that you can't tell me that you can't throw more money at stuff and make better stuff. And like virtual reality, that's a thing that you can't. That's the thing that you can't get at home. Not only virtual reality, because you have spatial virtual reality, like with the not the Oculus. What's the other one? Yeah, no, is it what's the one that you can actually move around with?
Both of them.
Well, one's
You're talking
more.
about augmented reality.
No. What's the other one besides the Oculus?
The Vive.
The Vive, right? That's the one that comes inherently with all the stuff that you can set up the poles and do all the movement with. Now, I've seen some demos of large spatial virtual reality. It's fucking amazing. That is the reason why you would have arcade. You can't do that in your home. Nobody has 20 feet of space, 20 by 20 amount
Right,
of space.
but I don't think, okay, so we'll go back to the point of this. I don't really think that would be something that you would classify as an arcade, as more as something that you would have like at an entertainment center place, basically like something like Main Event, which I don't know if anybody else has those around or anything like that, but basically it's like this big building, and they have like things like laser tag and bowling and pool and an actual arcade inside this building, and it's basically like an entertainment center. It's kind of like Dave and Buster's without food.
Yeah.
Except for Dave and Buster's doesn't have laser.
Right.
If we were going back into the situation of this, that if there is something very specific with virtual reality, that would be something completely different, but that is not an arcade game. When I'm talking arcade game, I'm talking about, like fighting games and games of like basically arcade games now can turn into basically, okay, let me take this back a little bit more. The arcades that we had back in the day are now being retrofitted and turned into basically gambling machines at casinos now. People are actually building games of chance and stuff for casinos. The deal is with an arcade is you went in with a bunch of quarters, you played a game that was entertaining, the arcade made money from those games. Now you slide a plastic card, same kind of concept, but you still do those things with the opportunity and ability. It's not gambling, but it's the same thing. The concept here is that at home today with an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4, you could play games that you could play in the arcade. And now they're even better than they were when you could play them in the arcade. The deal that I look at now is that at home with, $1,000, you could have a machine that you could set up with a good graphics card, a good CPU, and a good motherboard and a good sound card, and you could buy a wheel and pedals and all of that for $1,000, and you could build your own arcade machine that you can hook up to your TV and play an arcade racing game if you wanted to at home. Or you could just hook it up to your desktop PC that you're going to be playing other games on with it's not super expensive anymore to buy a nice steering wheel and pedals and a gear shifter if you want to play that kind of game. And
shit. To me, it is. If you want to fit a virtual racing sim in your house, it's not cheap. I'd rather pay 50 cents and do it every so often than pay several hundreds of dollars or maybe thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
for
but
flight sim or race sim.
Let me go back to this. So there are places.
How much did you pay for your desktop?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I can't quote you a price on desktop because you know as good as anybody that it's a ever evolving thing. Like I didn't build it from scratch. It got built from.
You just keep pouring money into it.
Exactly. So
unfortunately,
the same concept, no, but we go back to the point in this. You have triple display, right? You have 3 screens, right? Which is actually technically better than the single screen that you would have when you were playing a single racing game. The deal is that you have triple screens. You could basically set it up and you could play something like iRacing. If you're running Windows, you could play something like iRacing. I don't know, maybe they do have a Linux client. I didn't check into that. But I know they have a Windows client, something like iRacing.
I think they have a Linux client.
But here's
somewhat.
the deal. You could set up a steering wheel, pedals, controller, and everything. And over time, you could have everything you would want, and you could run iRacing, and you could play that game just like you were in a real car kind of style, where you have your seat set up and everything. You can do that.
Right. Okay. So I can do that, right? How many
But
people?
we're
how many,
talking about-
how many people have an i7 with 6 cores, 12 threads, the level GPU that I
Yeah,
have,
but you could
3
do that-
monitors? How many people have that though?
To be honest with you, a lot more people than you would think. A lot more people.
But I think a lot less people who would want to just try it out. From a strictly capitalistic standpoint, from making money standpoint, or from people who just want to try it standpoint, I think there's an argument for an arcade. To be honest,
no, I don't. I think
because
that's-
I think a lot there's a lot of major cities that still have arcades. Maybe
and that's
not.
fine. And it's fine. It's a fun place to go and blow money. That's fine. So is a casino.
I hate
The
casinos.
point that, but that goes back to the point of that. In my opinion, the arcade as it was in the 90s and in the late 80s and
gotta offer
even
something
earlier
different.
than that, it's not what it used to be. It's now a
It shouldn't
restaurant
be.
that happens to have an arcade in it. That's what
fine.
you would view.
But
Or it's a game center that has an arcade
look.
in it and it has other things.
You could say that a mobile phone is not arguably, but is more powerful than a computer or a console from 10 years ago. And that's factual. But you cannot replace physical space at all. The amount of physical space with the amount of compute power. So now, if you had a arcade cabinet and a computer, and then you had to add in the how much it costs to buy said things, and if it's makes any sense to actually buy said things, should I buy a PlayStation for $300-400?
Yeah, but okay.
Or-
Here's
or
the
should
thing.
I buy-
Back
Or
to
should
the
I
point.
Or should I buy a cabinet for $5,000 or $3,000 or
But you can't.
$2,000?
Yeah, but see, the thing is, you don't buy a cabinet for that much anymore. You can build.
No, you don't buy it. No, that's my point. You don't buy it anymore. Now, if I built a cabinet that was a $3,000 cabinet, how good would that be in comparison to what is available right now?
It depends whether you're using a
It should be
Raspberry
better
Pi
though,
or
right?
whether
In
you-
general.
it
No,
depends on
not
what you're
pie.
doing.
Not for me personally. As a business, I put this in the mall. I'm not gonna buy it. I'm not gonna put a pie in there. No, not at all. I'm talking about I actually go out and I actually cooperate with the game manufacturers and how they used to do.
Are you telling me you wouldn't put a cherry pie in there?
Fuck no, man. What the? Are you kidding me?
Or a pumpkin pie?
I'm gonna put you in there.
Come on, man.
What are you talking
People will go to the arcade for a pie.
I mean, people
Anyway.
probably do go to the arcade for a
But
pie,
see,
but not those
okay.
pies.
Okay, I'm gonna stop this at this point. Nowadays, to be honest with you, what used to be and what is today is completely different. People now go to places like over in Asia and in Korea and places that in those areas, they go to cafes where they have a bunch of desktop computers set up and they play games for hours and hours and hours, and that's where they spend their money to do things. And there are other things now that are different than they used to be. And to be honest with you, we can't go back into the same kind of concept anymore. Things are
No, we
progressing,
can't.
they've changed, and so what
And
we
the
have
Asian
home-
culture is much different than ours, also.
Well, they used to go to arcades all the time. That used
And
to
they
be the
st-
thing
but the Asian culture, especially Japanese, still has a very large social gaming culture where they have social gaming stores where you can sit down and play games at.
Okay, but we go back to in the American culture today. Okay, and back to what our entire conversation was. What you can have at home today is better than anything that you could spend the amount of money to build, because number one, you can play more than one game on it versus at an arcade. If you build a cabinet, you have that one cabinet that plays that one game, and unless you built something that has the ability to be reloaded with a new game every
But
3 months.
I still disagree with that 100% because let's say most people don't have $1,200 PCs. To be honest with you, most people are playing on laptops. Just check.
No,
check
no, they're
check.
not. No,
Oh,
no.
they're playing. Hold on, they're playing on laptop level hardware. Check the Steam statistics, and not only that. Now let's just say I put a $3,000 cabinet in something, and then I worked with the developer or publisher or whoever I need to work with to get the performance right and the experience magnificent, bar none magnificent. That's incomparable because most people don't have the level of hardware specifically for gaming that we have. I would be willing to bet the farm on that.
Yeah, the single largest group on Steam is running Intel HD graphics.
Right. Because they're probably playing Dota, League of Legends, et cetera, that type of thing. Team Fortress 2. Now, if I could walk into an arcade while I'm shopping or wherever it might be, have a beer, like you said, because Dave and Buster's is a thing where you have food and just chill out, have a beer, eat some food, and play a game that's like, oh my fucking God, for 50 cents, that I think that's still a good proposition.
But they don't do 50 cents anymore. It's like $1 or $2 now.
I mean, yeah, inflation happens.
So
Right.
we go, but serious, the thing is that you go into one of those places now, they have games like giant screen versions of that stupid bird game, not the Flappy Bird, but the other one where you fling a bird and it like topples
Angry
stuff.
Birds.
Yeah, Angry Birds. They have
Yeah,
that
stupid.
in the arcades now. Okay. No,
Yeah.
I am to the point that the arcade games, and you go into Dave and Buster's, most of the arcades that are in Dave and Buster's were built like 10 years ago, if not longer than that.
That's
a lot
true.
of the games are not the same. That, as I said, arcades are no longer what they used to be. And even if you went and did something like that, it's not going to change the fact. The point
we don't
is,
disagree that what they are right now is not good. I don't believe they're good right now. I'm just saying that there is.
Why are we even on this discussion? Like, I was just making a point, and the point is that arcades are shit now. Consoles are shit now, and PCs are better. That was my entire point.
I don't agree consoles are shit now either, but yeah. Go ahead.
No.
I do.
I do.
Hey, you don't even
say
time you don't even play no console game. You shut the fuck up.
Here, I'll give you one good reason.
Okay, give me a good reason.
One of the issues that got me off of PC gaming was just that things broke, things crashed. When I moved to console, things did not crash. I did not have any crashes on my PS2, except when I was playing with a cheat engine, but that's a separate issue. But you didn't have any updates. You didn't have any fuckery. You didn't have any performance issues with the game because they had to iron out the damn game before they shipped it. Because we were in the pre-internet age.
I already know where you're about to go. The console games are still more stable than the PC games in general.
Really?
Yes, really. Stable, not better. Stable. Yes, they are.
I seriously doubt that.
All right. So no. So you want to go to? No,
you got to show me some evidence because I had an Xbox One 6 months ago. I've had a PlayStation 4. I've had a PlayStation 3, and I've had a PlayStation 2, and I've had an Xbox 360 and an Xbox. Well, I guess.
Yeah, but how many Xbox 360s died on you?
I didn't say the console was more stable. I said the games were more stable.
But that's
now,
the point. The console is what I'm talking about. That's what he just said. He said he went to the console because it was more stable.
Xbox 360 was a failed experiment on Microsoft's part, point blank and period. And and you have to give them some credit because most companies would have folded under that expense and pressure. The public pressure that they got. They did not fold under all of that public pressure or that expense because they paid out more money than it was worth for them to pay out for that console and replace those Xboxes. But either way, when the Xbox did work, the 360, the games are still simple, way more simple than on PC. PC is always going to be more difficult because you have a multitudes of hardware configurations. That's just the way it is. It's a non-arguable fact.
So I'm just going to drop this fact and run. My PS2 still boots up.
Exactly. Consoles do that.
No, I still
have a 360 that works just fine.
The PS3 doesn't do that. The Xbox 360 doesn't do that.
Well, if your PS3 doesn't do that, you got a gay ass PS3 God damn it!
I
Why is
had to-
that?
I
Why is those
I
words
had-
hard? PS3.
I have had to fix a Yellow Light of Death PS3, and I've had to fix a Red Ring of Death Xbox 360 for friends.
See,
Yeah,
on the kind of
and
forum makes
they,
a good point. Even after all of that hardware issues, the Xbox 360 for the most part won that entire generation. Like it was
no, it didn't. It didn't win the
not
generation because-
not in console sales, but in mind share. Absolutely.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
What?
No.
What was so good about the PlayStation 3?
Well, considering the fact that the PlayStation 3 can still play games that are better than the Xbox One.
I'm not. See, that's a I mean, you could.
See, no. You had to stop and think about a good rebuttal for that because it's true. The problem is it's true. The PlayStation 3 still has the hardware and ability to play games that were
wait,
basically
no,
a bar
time
and
out.
above.
No, only exclusive games were different. All other games were the same across every platform than the last generation. Absolutely. You would have to actually pause the game, get out your magnifying glass, get up to your screen, and then it'd be like, yeah, I see.
Okay, so when did the Xbox 360 support direct native 1080p gaming?
They still don't. Neither does PlayStation. Barely.
No, but the PlayStation,
barely.
the PlayStation
barely.
3, no,
barely.
the PlayStation 3 supported native 60 frames per
Supported,
second.
but there is no games that support it in PlayStation 3.
Just one clarification: the PS3 supported 1080i, not 1080p.
And they supported
yeah, that's
1080i,
true, that's
and
true.
there's no games that were 1080. They were lower resolution that was up res. We're not gonna go on that because that is absolutely just retarded. None of the last generation games were 1080p. Well, not none. Very small amounts were 1080p. Period.
The PS3 version of Tetris was 1080.
Yeah, the 20-year-old game was 1080i. Yay.
Well,
So
and
that's-
there were but there were direct titles.
Bricks I've ever seen.
Anyway, there were direct titles that were 1080p. Well, they were more scaled than I would say any of the direct titles on the Xbox 360. If we're comparing console to consoles, the PS3 was a better console than the Xbox 360.
It was a better console, but it wasn't the more popular console in my opinion. And it doesn't even matter because the Xbox 360 ushered in the era of Gears of War, Halo, and because
Gears of War, Halo are the reason the Xbox 360 had the mind share that it did.
And then because of good business deals, you can call them good or you can call them nefarious. That's your choice. They had timed exclusive. They had lots of timed exclusives and exclusives with third parties such as Call of Duty and whatnot. And there is no denying that the Xbox 360 network is hands and above, fists over fist above PlayStation Network. Even to this day, PlayStation Network is shit. It's shitty as hell. It makes no sense and it's retarded.
Okay. So here's a question on this.
No, I have to disagree. Hold on, I have to disagree with on a count of four. At the end of the life cycle, the PlayStation 3 actually ended up selling more than the 360. At the end of when the generation finally ended, PlayStation 3 I think edged it out at the end. I may be wrong, but that's my belief. And yes, PlayStation Network was free, but it sucked.
It's not anymore.
No, it's not anymore, but it still sucked in the PlayStation 3 days. It used to go down on Tuesday afternoons and Tuesday evening and Thursday and what the fuck? I was like, oh my God, what is going on?
What?
And then it got hacked, like majorly hacked. Like some hack, like you can't even just be like, yeah, it got hacked. Who cares?
So the PS3 actually sold worldwide 80 million consoles.
Right.
to
Well,
the 54 million consoles.
right.
Xbox
But so you
360
got to
sold.
understand that Xbox,
And that
Microsoft,
wasn't at the end of the life cycle.
Li-
They sold 80 million
listen,
units before the end of this life cycle.
listen. First of all, you got to understand one thing: Microsoft does not compete on the global scale because Japanese people don't care about Xbox. As a matter of fact, the majority of the world distrusts Microsoft. Only the Western world, that's Western European nations and North America, are huge consumers of Microsoft products or trust them at any level. So there's that. And Sony's always going to outsell them. I think to this day, the PlayStation 4 is outselling the Xbox One. Like, is it 3-1 or something like that? Worldwide. So, Microsoft's never going to as long as they're called Microsoft, they're never going to compete with Sony PlayStation on that level. Sony's a Japanese market or based market.
You know, and let's go back to the point of this. We'll use our Rocket Cars game that some of us play every once in a while. I'm sorry, Rocket League. My bad. Sorry, there used to be this other game that was free on the PlayStation 3 called Rocket Car something or other that ended up being this Rocket League game. That game can be played on the PlayStation, on Windows, on Linux, I think on Mac too as well, and you can play with people on other networks. So tell me how many Microsoft games you can play on the Xbox One with other people that are not on Xbox One that isn't a game that is also co-released on Windows only.
Wait, what's the question now? How many
games can you play with multiple platforms other than just the two Microsoft platforms that are on the Xbox One? How many games? List how many games.
Are you basically saying how many games are exclusive to the Xbox One?
No. I'm talking about how many multi-platform games are there that you can do on the Xbox One?
How many multi-platform? Like every game is multi-platform, except for like a handful.
And you can play all of those together. Like they have the ability to work together with those other platforms, or can you only play with people if they're multiplayer on the platform that you're playing on?
No. Okay. So the game that you can actually play multi-platform is very minute, even to this day, whether it be Sony, Microsoft, PC, or whatever.
No.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Sony supports 27 titles that you can play
cross-platform. But how many of those games are people actually playing though?
Well, let's see. How many people play Rocket League?
Rocket League's the obvious one. Give me the ones that.
No.
Give me the top 5.
Top 5?
Yeah.
Moment.
Yes. Kind of unaccounted for. PlayStation 4 vastly outsold the Xbox One by like 5-1. To this day, it's ridiculous. Xbox One doesn't stand a chance. The only thing that Xbox One has now is for those people who want to buy an HD Blu-ray player for less than $300, or what is it, $400? I don't know what it is in American, but it's cheap. Speaking of that, I just saw that you could buy an HD Blu-ray player finally for a PC, and but you have to have a Kaby Lake Intel PC and Windows 10. Gotcha.
So you have Street Fighter 5 that you can play between PC, PS4,
the game sucks, but okay.
It doesn't matter. It's still a game that's multi-platform. You can play Move or Die. You can play.
What the fuck is that?
Rocket League. You can play the Black Watch, which is actually a Mac and PC and PS4 game.
These are games that people are not playing though.
Okay, Gear Up.
Nobody's playing that.
You don't know nobody's playing it. See, that's the problem.
I'm sure,
You're making comments and directions and saying nobody's doing this shit, but you have no evidence that nobody's doing this shit.
All right. I mean, you can show me evidence. That's fine. I'm guaranteed that Gear Up is not a game that everybody's playing.
Okay. Planetary Annihilation is another game. Now that one is only limited to 3 platforms. It's not limited to the consoles, so you can't actually play it on the consoles. Let's see. I'm trying to look at ones that are consoles related as well. Now, it's not a game that you play directly, but you can play it.
There's always caveats.
But the primary game that people are playing, that we know people are playing, that you can play.
See, I think we have a fundamental difference of perspective here. Because when I say somebody's playing a game, I'm thinking massively playing the game. I'm thinking Battlefield 1, Call of Duty. I'm thinking.
So you're thinking of something like Tom Clancy's The Division, right?
Yeah. Yes, those massively playing, because those other games don't sell systems. They don't move. Groups of people into a different direction. They don't change anything. Those are just some people who happen to have hopped onto something. Rocket League is a enigma of sorts.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is, because
no, it's not. It's a definition of the future. It's where gaming will be. It's an example.
Hold on, no, I didn't say it's not that. But what it is not a game that is selling PlayStations. It is not a game that is selling Xboxes, and it is not a game that is selling computers or PCs in general. That is a game that popped out of nowhere.
Does it really matter if it does or not? See, that my conversation was not what something sells or doesn't sell. My conversation was, how many games does the Xbox One support that you can play that are multi-platform?
I don't think that matters, because all I think that really matters is what
does matter, because the point is
all I think is it matters is how many systems are in a household. Because if I don't have a PlayStation, it doesn't matter what games are on PlayStation that I can play, because I won't go buy a PlayStation unless I really need the game.
Okay.
System sellers.
I don't care. I don't really care about a system seller. That's not the conversation that I'm having or even caring to have, because I don't care. See, the problem is that the conversation is about where we are as a future gaming solution set and where we want games to be, not what sells, what games sell, so on and so forth. Yes, Halo sold Xbox 360. Gears of War sold Xbox 360. Those games sold consoles. But when you take those type of games out of the mind share, and you take those kind of games out of it, and the consoles have to defend themselves on their own without having games to sell them, one beats the other. And the point is that
because Xbox wouldn't be Xbox without Halo. Absolutely not. If Halo didn't exist, where would Xbox be? It would be non-existent. It wouldn't even matter. We wouldn't be talking about Xbox to this day.
Okay, but my conversation and what you're failing to understand has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact of where games are going. People want to be able to play with their friends. They do not want to be limited. They want to be able to.
I don't care. I don't think they care about being limited. But go ahead. I dispute the limited part. I agree with the friends part.
Okay.
I don't think people care about being limited. If me and you, and we're 12 years old, and we both have PlayStation 4s, and we're both playing Call of Duty, whatever the fuck, 10,016, I don't know what it is. I don't think we are caring about the other games, really. Because we know that we can't buy another $60 game, and we're just going to play this game, period. Until 6 months from now, when mom says, hey, it's your birthday, buy a new game. I don't think it matters.
Well, I think you're missing the mindset, but that's fine.
And I'll tie this back into the Steam machines.
Okay, But here's the thing. You just jumped it back to 12 years old. But the problem is the gaming market today is not 12-year-olds anymore.
Okay, no, I'll even say 30 years old. Most people at 30 years old are only buying, let's just say, 5 games at $60 a piece per year.
Well, games are too expensive nowadays. They should be closer to a set. But I'll even go back to the point of this, is that even if the average market share, and by the way, it's 26, is the average age nowadays of a gamer. Not
and 30, I think statistics show that an average gamer is only buying 3 to 5 games per year. At 60,
try 25 games a year.
At $60 a piece.
But games don't all cost $60 anymore. And if you're going to basically say that all AAA titles are exactly the only games that you should be buying, or the only games that should be out there, then you're completely wrong. And I'm going to specifically tell you that you are wrong.
Hold on. I'm talking about the major system seller games. I just told you
that doesn't fucking matter.
I'm not talking about.
It doesn't matter now.
I think it does matter.
But it doesn't. It
absolutely matters.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Because if it doesn't matter, that means there will only be an Xbox, there will only be a PlayStation, and there will only be a PC. And when I say only a PC, I mean a Windows PC. Period. If you don't have other things to drive innovation, or drive mind share, or drive new direction, it will be stagnant, and we'll be stuck in this nonsense. Look how many people dislike the Call of Duty release. I think that is one of the top disliked videos in all of YouTube, and yet it's still one of the top selling games in history of gaming. And that should indicate to you the future direction of games. People don't care about other stuff. They only care about their major system sellers. Call of Duty is a system seller. I'll identify it as a system seller.
No, I completely disagree with any of that. Call of Duty used to be a system seller, if it was, but every year, every 6 months, every whatever, they're crapping out some crappy game that is badged as a Call of Duty game, and it is total crap now. To be honest with you, it's not what it once was. We go back to this situation. Okay, so we'll use Overwatch as an example. Okay, that's a game that came to the market. It was released in the market. People play it, right? It's Overwatch. Is it limited to PC? This time, it is limited to PC because that's where that game maker limits it to. But there were other games that were released during the exact same time. They're basically the same kind of game, and they didn't fare so well.
It got crushed by Blizzard. You can't compete with Blizzard.
Okay.
And that was their problem.
Okay. But does Blizzard care if they sell a console?
First of all, Blizzard is not in that market. Blizzard
exactly.
isn't. But hold on. That's a different. Now you're talking about a separate ideological direction. Now, Blizzard, on the other hand, they know what their market is. It's PC, straight up, pure and simple PC. We don't give a fuck about you other people. If we can get into other markets, great. If not, whatever. We're gonna sell and we're gonna make a lot of fucking money. But Blizzard is gonna make their money by not only making video games for the PC, but making large and comprehensive and in-detailed games for the PC. Games that you have to really dive into and understand and dig through to get the entire experience. That is their niche.
But they don't just make.
That's their niche.
But but see, the thing is, they don't just make games for the PC anymore.
They don't. But that is their niche. That is their thing.
Okay, but now to take this all full circle from the very beginning that I started with, was that during the time that the statement was made that consoles, say 10, 15 years ago, when consoles were more prevalent or viewed as better than PC, I could play Blizzard games that were better. And guess what? Now we go back full circle. Now you have a game like Overwatch, which outsold any Call of Duty game ever made. So Now we go back to the viewpoint of this. It is not about what sells a console or a machine or a PC or an upgrade. It is about the customers who care about what games they want to play because they're entertaining.
So where's the Steam machine at? It has no console seller, therefore it does not exist.
It's also broke as fuck.
And then it's also broke as fuck.
No, that is the reason Steam failed. Where if you go back to the same point of this, the Steam Link has sold like hotcakes. And it depends on other hardware to even function.
Hotcakes, relatively speaking, but yeah, it also offers a function and a value that you really just can't get anywhere else as easily as cheaply. So there's a minute or a niche amount of group of people.
No, it's not even a market of niche or anything. It goes back to the point. No, it's not. Back to the point that I'm making it here. We could go to the same concept with a Chromecast. That is not a niche market product.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's in the same vein.
Compare the amount of people who have a Chromecast compared to people who have cable TV. Not even comparable. And where's Atomic at? Why is he so fucking quiet? He unmuted himself.
Yeah, he's gonna have to disconnect. He's gonna have to disconnect and reconnect because he muted himself too long under Discord, and it does things to Pablo when you do that. Anyway, back to what I was stating in the thing is you and I can have this long discussion back and forth and dictate what we think from a perspective. But when it comes down to factual situations, there are things, whether you want to view them as niche or not, that prove that it really doesn't matter, because I can cite the amount of games that are sold for the people that have cell phones and the amount of games that are sold and for exact games that are free that you can play, that millions and millions and millions of players play, and they play them on their phones and don't really think it really matters. And it doesn't sell phones. Those games don't sell phones. Phones.
Hold on. That's a matter of perspective, because the games because the people who have phones who play games, for the most part, are playing games because they have a phone. The people who buy an Xbox buy the Xbox because they want to play games. That's a different buying mechanism. Completely different. 100% not the same. I don't buy an Xbox to have a phone. I buy an Xbox to play a game. I buy a phone to have a phone, and it plays a game. Now you have a large customer base. I don't consider the phone market or the mobile market part of what I care about, because it's not. Because that is an inclusive part of the market that just happens to be there.
Okay,
because it's easy.
But see, that proves my exact point,
which is
which
Atomic. Are you back?
Completely failed to see. My point is that nowadays users buy things and they use those products to achieve what they want, not what those products may originally be intended to do. Because to be honest with you, if you look at the statistics of what actually is done on a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox 360 and no, if you look at statistics, Netflix is 90% of what people use the Xbox 360, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4 for.
Look, if I wanted to buy an HD Blu-ray player, I'd buy an Xbox One.
Well, if I just wanted to play a Blu-ray player, I would buy a PS3.
No, an HD Blu-ray player. I don't
really give a crap about HD Blu-rays or whatever.
But I'm just saying, if I want to specifically play an HD Blu-ray.
Okay. But see, that's the point. As I said, it is not anymore about what games sell the consoles. It's what features the consoles have now that are easy for a user. The deal is that today there are Rokus that play all the media and stuff that you could do on a PlayStation, that you could do on a PlayStation 3. But they didn't have Rokus when the PlayStation 3 came out, or at least they did not when it first came out, but there's a ton of stuff you could do with it that you couldn't do on anything else. And it could be in your living room, it could be attached to your TV, and you could play games, you could watch Blu-rays, you could, browse the web, you could do a ton of stuff with this machine that's basically a computer in your living room that doesn't cost as much as going out and buying a computer. And to be honest with you, at that point in time, it didn't cost as much as going out and buying the same kind of computer that could do the same stuff, because you had to pay the Windows tax for the license for the operating system, which was like $100 to $200. You had to buy whatever parts, pieces that you had to buy from Intel or AMD at that point. You had a lot of stuff that you had to buy. Nowadays, it's not the same thing. Now you can go buy a Roku for $100, and it will do pretty much everything the PlayStation 3 did except for play Blu-rays. The point is that when we're talking about what a market sells, I don't think it really matters anymore whether it's a console or it's a PC. It's what customers want. It's what they want to be able to do with it. And if Microsoft continues on the vein that they're doing with Windows 10,
well, I was only speaking in the context of gaming only. That's usually what I'm always speaking, because that's
the whole point of this is to talk about more. The whole point of this is, if we want to talk about the context of gaming, that's fine. We can limit to the context of gaming.
That's what we was talking about.
But I wasn't limited. But you were limited to the view of only the context of gaming. And the problem is that nowadays it's more than that. That's the reason we're having issues with, well, arcades are no longer relevant as they used to be, is because it's not about that. It's about a form of entertainment for people. Gaming is moving from just a form of entertainment, but a sole purpose of entertainment. It is replacing the ideology of movies. Now, movies are still there. People still go and see movies. They still make lots of money in movies.
That's my point exactly.
But games,
people go see movies, and for the same reason. And I think that if somebody did it right, in a capitalistic type of way, in a smart type of way, in an intellectual type of way, you can still have the same thing if you wanted to. Because the reason that you go to see a movie is because why? It's bigger, it's better, it's more expensive, and it's cooler.
But it's not even the same. But the deal is
still do that.
But games are even being turned into movies.
But you can't do that. No, hold on. What I'm saying is that you can't get bigger, better, and cooler in your 20 by 20 foot living room as you can in a 100 by 100 foot dedicated space. That's my point.
And we can go to the point of that. That's fine. But I don't want to, if I'm playing a game, I don't want to go to a huge place like a theater and play a game. I want my games at home where I can play them.
What about it? What about a $5,000 system that can just play a game? Fucking excellent. Like Street Fighter. Street Fighter is the cornerstone of arcade gaming. Not only we're gonna play Street Fighter, but we're gonna play this shit on the most amazing screen that you've seen, with the most amazing responsiveness that you've ever seen, with the most amazing colors that you've ever seen, and it's gonna have the best graphics. You can't buy these graphics at home. Period.
But you could see that.
I mean, if you had $10,000, yes, you could. But yes, right. But you can't. Nobody's buying $10,000 computers.
But they are
trying to.
Yeah, see,
you're trying to, but you're not. Let's be honest here. The 1 percentile of the people who have quote unquote gaming PCs are 1%. That's a small amount. Most people don't have gaming PCs at all. Check the Steam profiles. Check all the other stats.
I don't even think the Steam profiles are even correct half the time anyway, because they don't.
You cannot believe that. Or find any other statistics that say that most people have 780s, 980s, 1080s, or 390s, 290Xs, and so on and so on. That is not a standard. Most people who have a computer don't have those things. They have a laptop, or they have integrated graphics, or they have a low-grade graphics card, a discrete graphics card. Most people are not running high-end computers. We are the minority by a far amount, for various reasons, lots of reasons.
Okay.
There's no evidence says that
we are the minority in the fact that not only do we run these systems, but we also run Linux. So yes.
There's that too.
The minority, but our discussion is at least the point that I have been trying to make the entire time is there is a paradigm shift. It is no longer what it used to be. And whether you want to believe it or not, or whether you want to look at it, or whether you want to have the same viewpoint, there is a paradigm shift. gaming is not what it used to be, and it's moving in a different direction. And the deal is that we can continue to look at it, and we can continue to view it, and we can continue to have this, back and forth of, well, this is better than that, and so on and so forth. But until there is
It's not about that. It's not really about better. But Atomic, you ain't said nothing. We need your viewpoint, or I'm gonna slap the shit out of you.
Hey, I've been giving you my viewpoint when it's relevant.
What? When has it been relevant? I didn't hear you say nothing for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, in the console part.
Oh, okay. So what have you been playing lately, Atomic?
Very little. You forget that I have a 16-hour-a-day job.
Well, Trump. Never mind. I'm not gonna go there. So you need to fix that.
I'm working on it.
Any games? Anybody looking forward to 2017?
I'm looking forward to one that's
I
coming out Monday, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to play it.
What's that?
Disgaea 2.
Yeah, I did hear about that. I'm not familiar with it, but I did hear about it.
Well, I'm looking forward to the next Civ game that's coming out, hopefully, relatively.
Yeah, that's a game I've been waiting for. I'm not a huge Civ fan like you are, but that's a game I've been waiting for.
No, that's true.
Wait, let's see. So, no more other games that everybody's been looking forward to?
No, not any games that I'm looking forward to. I've been playing a lot of games though. Like,
I know. Okay, what have you been playing?
Well, Ballistic Overkill. I've been trying to get through Deadfall Adventures. With all the adventures I'm having with the graphics card. And no, there's actually a game called Deadfall Adventures has been on for a very long time, but it's a very janky game. But I like the game because it's entertaining, to me at least, because it's my type of game. Puzzle. You solve puzzles in a first-person character. Basically, like if you ever played like an Uncharted game, it's basically like that kind of game, just with, more janky. And you're first person, like you would be in like a first-person shooter style. I've been playing that, and then other games, random games on Steam that I have. I finished Mad Max, which, oh man, good game.
How many hours did you put into that? Because I'm at like 40 something. I'm still not close to done.
Well, I kind of had to cheat also because my wife beat the game first, but the deal is for that game I have 67 hours in it.
Ouch. Okay. So I know what to expect.
Yeah, it's not a bad game. I mean, it's really good.
It's a fun game. It's like Batman.
Yeah, I'll
where
definitely
you have
say
to
that.
do stuff. You have to do a lot of stuff.
And then
Isn't that kind of the point of video games is doing stuff?
Yeah.
Shut up, Atomic.
And then, of course, as Atomic likes to say, I've been playing my dinosaur game, Ark Survival Evolved. I'm somewhere in the 500-hour range. That game. So yeah. And then I played this other game. Thanks to HexDSL for pointing it out. It is called Kane, I think, but I'm probably not even pronouncing it correctly.
It's Kane. For those who don't who want to check it out, it's CAYNE on Steam.
Yeah, I have.
It's free to play.
Oh yeah, it's awesome game. It's a puzzle game, kind of like. Also, you have to go around and you have to figure things out. Have you ever played like game like Oddworld, or I think that's what it's called? It's the one with the weird little alien dude. If you ever played a game like that, that's kind of the same kind of concept that it is. But it also kind of it'll kind of remind you of like some of those older point and click adventure style games where you point and you have to like read stuff and look stuff and solve puzzles and stuff. It's a really good game. I have about 4 hours in it. Yeah, and people are like, well, how do you have all that time? Well, it's not all in one day. So yeah, so we would go back to that. And then I've also been playing this other game called Ferraria. I think that's what it's called. Faeria. Yeah, Feria. I love that game as well. It's a card kind of game. Basically, it's like It's like Settlers Catan and that other card game that done by Blizzard. What is it called?
Gwent.
No, done by Blizzard. Gwent is not by
Blizzard. Jesus.
Blizzard.
Heroes of the Storm.
Here's it's like basically if Heroes of the Storm and Settlers of Catan had a baby. Basically, that's the style of the game because you have basically the board is laid out and you have to lay tiles down and you have to like solve a puzzle that way and defeat your opponent that way. Plus, you have cards that you can build in a deck and then you can lay those cards down. Now, all the games that I've mentioned are all Linux supported games. They will also work on Windows, and they all play really, really nicely. Mad Max, you need good hardware to really get good performance out of it. But I'm going to tell you this, on AMD hardware with the open driver, I get 100 frames. Let me reset. These are drivers that come straight out of Linux.
So
I get 100 frames.
I don't know if you saw my my message, but once I switched from KDE our Kubuntu to Budgie Ubuntu Budgie Remix, I guess it's called. I started getting 100 frames. It's weird.
Yeah. I also think it has to do with, as I said, at the very beginning of my very beginning rant when I was talking about the AMD stuff, I really think it has to do how the kernel is being modified, how it's being adjusted, depending whether it's a GDK versus the Qt environment. Again, we also go back to the reasons I'm having issues with KDE is because it's a Qt or Kden Live. The reason I'm having issues is a Qt environment or Qt application in a GDK environment. Even though I'm running XFCE, I'm still dealing with a GDK environment. So there are issues. I think that's what's pertaining to, and of course also the conflicts with the kernel in the way that the AMD Pro drivers are installed. But again, that's, anybody wants to, hit me up on Twitter or whatever and discuss that back and forth. If they have AMD graphics cards, I'm totally fine with going back and forth because I'm not just dealing with Debian or Ubuntu-based distributions. I'm also working in the other things. Something else that I've been testing and I might make full-time, I may switch over to is the Solus project. I really like where they're going with some of the development they're building. And I may switch over on one of the machines that completely to do some testing and see how the AMD works with them and how they're, because of what they're doing and what they're building their stuff to do. Now, they are better supported for NVIDIA graphics cards, but they're a really interesting project in the way that they're building everything. They're kind of like a build it from scratch distribution, but they are very supportive of playing games under their distribution. So a lot of stuff that they're building. Now they are a heavy GDK environment because they based their original development was based out of the GNOME 3 environment, but they've done a lot of modifications. They've done a lot of customization to make the system a lot smoother and a lot better. Again, that goes back to some of the other stuff that I discussed. But when it comes to games, more so, man, I have so many games I don't even have time to play. Like so many of the games I want to play that I haven't. One of the other games that I'm loving right now, and I've been wanting to get my hands on the game for the Warhammer Total War game. I really gonna get my hands on that. I don't have that game, but I have been playing a lot of 40K Dawn of War as well because I love that game. And I just, I used to play it in wine all the time, but now I can actually play it. Oh yes, it's beautiful under Linux. But man, we have so many games now that I don't even know. And then I have to thank Bodhi because I think this is the game that he gave me. I've also been playing something called Skullgirls. I don't know if it was Atomic or Bodhi that got me the game. Or was it Bodhi? I think it was Bodhi, right?
Yeah, I don't remember giving it to you.
No, you didn't give it. Okay. Yeah, I think it was Bodhi. Definitely have to do that. Been playing a lot of that.
I got my we didn't play that game.
Yeah, because I think he gave it to you and me, and he has it so we could play against each other. I think that was the whole entire intent of him doing that. But I got it working really well with my PlayStation 3 controller because my Xbox 360 controller is retarded sometimes. I think it's the controller itself. It's not the drivers or anything. I've had this Xbox 360 controller forever, and I think it's on its last legs, and I probably need to go rummage somewhere and buy another controller. I just don't want to buy an Xbox One controller. Sorry. The
I just went
Xbox.
to the pawn shop and got me one for $10.
Yeah,
That's
I just
fine.
don't know what I mean is I just don't want to. I don't like the modifications they did to the Xbox One controller. You know, you heard that
I
thing where
I will say that it is different, and it is not. It takes. I'm still not used to it. I don't like it.
yeah,
I personally like the
exactly.
360 controller still.
Exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's now that I have to say, once they defined that controller and they made it, I think the Xbox 360 controller was the best controller Microsoft designed. It's even better than some of the controllers you can buy that are made like by Logitech and stuff. Now, the
Yeah.
PlayStation 3 controller, on the other hand, because I'm so familiar with it, because it's
I
the
can't-
same controller that's been basically the same design they've had since the original PlayStation. I mean, all they did was add joysticks to it. It's basically the same controller. So once you've used one PlayStation
right.
controller, you've used any PlayStation controller. So it's very
I
easy
agree with that.
and native to figure out. The only problem I have is sometimes it turns the PlayStation 3 on randomly because if you press the little center button, it'll actually power on the PlayStation 3 because I can't figure out how to unpair it from the PlayStation 3.
The way that you have to do that is you have to pair the PS3 controller with something else, and you can do that with a Bluetooth dongle for a computer on Linux.
Okay, you and I will have to talk about that at some other point because that would be nice because I'm getting tired of accidentally powering on the PlayStation 3 when I'm playing because it takes the controller. So,
Indeed.
all right. So now that I have completely
Ranchitized. So before we get out of here, let's shamelessly plug all the things that we do. There is a website that is not updated recently, linuxtechandgaming.com. Atomic has a YouTube channel. Do you have a vanity URL, Atomic?
You can just go to player.me/the atomic ass, and you can find all of my URLs: Twitter, YouTube, streaming sites that I don't stream to because I'm too busy with work. I'm
Work
gonna have to put
smart.
my PayPal link up there if some rich person wants to donate, so I don't have to work a 16-hour day job.
Donate these nuts. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so player.me/the atomic ass to find him. And System.
well, I do have a YouTube channel as well. Right now, my YouTube channel is mostly just gameplay from
Ballistic Overkill.
Yeah, Ballistic Overkill right now. But the plan is that I will have more content that is not Ballistic Overkill, and then I plan to have some videos up about AMD graphics and different things of that nature, and how to play with them with Linux. The biggest thing for me is that my channel, I do not have a vanity plate yet. Don't have enough people. But if you want to, look it up under YouTube, under System, it'll pop up my channel. More
His channel, and I think he should be if I think he should be tagged in the Linux Tech and Gaming channel
right,
directly.
and
And if not,
if you
we'll
want,
fix that.
right, and if you want to hit me up on the interwebs at System for the Twitters, you can do that. And then I plan a month or so to have my my actual website up and running again. I had to take it down because of DO. I was working on some stuff on a DO and I forgot and accidentally deleted it. Um, yeah, that's a whole other can of worms. But yeah, DO. Yeah, sometimes someone said DigitalOcean decides to do funny things, and I thought I was backing it up and accidentally deleted it. But that's a whole other can of worms. So yeah, I'll have that back up. Just kept spinning another DO up.
And of course, you can find me at as it should be on your screen by now, player.me/Osiris, or just Osiris anywhere and everywhere on the Twitters, on the Facebooks, on the website osiris.tech, and on the YouTubes. And that has been our fallacious, crazy, and
Somewhat
ridiculous.
argumentative.
Oh, very argumentative, because that's what we're here for. Conversation for today. If it's not argumentative, then it ain't fun. Uh, plus, I like to just, especially Atomic, because he's retarded, and I'm gonna keep saying that. I like to poke.
Hey,
And I only like to poke Atomic because Atomic likes to poke me throughout the fucking week and annoy the fuck out of me. But that's another story. We'll get on that on a different day. But yeah, that's been our show for this week, January, and hopefully we can continue these podcast / random conversations and talk about Linux, tech, and gaming. And we've been Osiris, and you guys go ahead, plug yourselves, and we can get out of here. Or don't plug yourselves. That's fine.
I don't want to plug myself. I don't mind pimping myself out, but I just don't want to plug myself. Anyway.
Definitely not touching that with a 300-foot pole.
Well, I like those. I like those dinosaurs. So.
Oh God.
So anyway.
All right. Anyways,
oh yeah, you can tell unaccounted for that he is unaccounted for, and that he's not calling me on bullshit. So anyway,
one day we're gonna have a unaccounted for, aka Pedro from Linux Game. Linux Gamecast. I should know that. Linux Gamecast.
To speak.
And Linux Gamecast on here, and we can have a real debate because I know he will debate, or maybe Jordan Schwang. But anyways, this is Osiris with System and Atomic. This has been our show. We're out of here. Thanks and good night.
Yeah, good night, everybody.
Kill that feed.